See, you're gonna hurt your voice again.
Yeah.
Be careful.
We must fight together.
I'm curious if you can go back to day one, what's some advice you would give yourself at the start of this project?
I would say it's gonna be a long road. It's
3
gonna
years
be
long.
right. It's gonna be a long road, and you're not gonna get fired like you thought you would. You're gonna make it to the safari park next to these gentlemen to talk about it.
I would say relax. I was really stressed in the beginning because similarly, I thought I was gonna get fired. I was like, oh no. I was like, man, I got in the booth and Barry was so confident when he cast me. He was like, I just knew you was the one. And I was like, thank you. And then I was like, oh my God, he just knew I was the one. Well, I need to show him that I was the one. And then he gave me that first note and I was like, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I knew I wasn't the one.
And you're the one now. Taka's the one.
Taka's the one.
Okay,
Everybody
always
knows
been the
that
one.
now.
Been the one.
And we're
That's
gonna write a
true.
new movie just about him, a song.
Called He's the One. Oh no, gee.
I'm gonna say
better serve them notes. You better serve them notes. Can I hear the rest of the song?
Take us out. Take your time.
Is the star of the prize.
Yeah.
No.
Because not too much on that one.
Right, it's all right.
Not too much. It's a work in progress.
Okay, right.
Come on now.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook.
We listen, we don't judge.
Taka, this is not the time for jokes.
I would tell myself not to be so serious when I first entered. Granted, that serious attitude was nerves, just wanting to serve it. The whole story is so important to all of us. So I think that's where it came from. But just to, as Kelvin said, just relax. Take it easy, it's gonna be okay. And just, walk in faith, you know?
If you could give yourself some advice and go back to day one, what would that be?
Oh, trust the process, for sure. You know, the early going and making the film was tricky. I had to learn this new language, learn these new tools, and then figure out how to break them. It was really cool. We went down to visit the Avatar setup, and there were a few people who were working on Jim's movies who came over and started helping us. It allowed us to start working in real time with the camera, responding to the movement of the characters. We got the animators in suits. And the reason for that was I always like the camera to be one with the intimacy of the characters. So if you lean forward and I step back in response, the camera should move as well. It's difficult to do that when you're just communicating, but when it's all there, you get this, people keep saying, oh, it's so expressive. They think it's just about the faces, but it's also about the movement. And so I would just say trust the process,
I'm curious, what was that scene where you really needed to push your cast and got them to that place where they can become these characters?
I have a very specific answer. Aaron Pierre.
Again.
Because, first of all, Aaron Pierre has a gift of an instrument in his voice. I mean, you have to be able to play Mufasa at any age. But he was nervous. He was like, I've only ever sung in church. And I was like, well, we're going to get you there. And full credit to our vocal director, Kurt Crowley, who did an amazing job coaching all of these actors to sing. The Kurt Crowley. Yeah. But, I sometimes felt a little like Sarabe in that song of like, I know it's you, I know you can sing it. And the performance they turned in on that song in particular, I'm very, very proud of.
I don't think I really needed to push anyone, I can't say. One of the great things about working in this format is we did all the voices first. Typically, you do a take and then, he's got to move the camera, the lights got to move, makeup's got to come in. It can be 12 minutes before you get to do another take. We do a take, we talk about it, 20 seconds later, we're doing another take. So everybody was just in. The thing honestly was to know when to create space. There's a scene where Kiara, the character played by Blue Ivy, asks, who are the outsiders? And that scene came out of a conversation I was having with Dr. John Connie between takes. Him working in conservation and actually telling me the true story of what happens with these albino lions on the continent and the superstitions around them and why people sometimes hunt them. And he was like, it's actually the opposite, but I could see how they might turn to darkness because of this. And so we riffed out this conversation, well, who are the outsiders? And giving them the space to find the delicateness of that scene, it was just like working with them was awesome, man.
Who are the outsiders?
Well, the outsiders come from many prides, but when they are born, they are hated because they are different from their tribe.
We interviewed you both at D23, and you said you were singing but not singing.
To be clear, we sing. We don't sing.
Yeah, we sing.
We sang.
Sang.
We sing.
Yeah.
I thought y'all were singing a little bit. Y'all were singing in this film.
Lied to this man.
They lied. I wasn't there, but they lied a little bit. No.
Okay.
But how did you challenge yourself in the booth, and did you shock yourself a little bit after you laid those vocals down? You're like, that was incredible. Like, that was invigorating, you know?
I wasn't feeling like that. I was very scared because Lin was there, but I was also excited Lin was there. And I was excited that I was getting to live out the Disney experience of like voicing a Disney song and a Disney character. And to be able to give, like, I was obsessed, like Aaron is also obsessed with Be Prepared. And I was like, okay, is this my version of it? Like, can it be just as iconic? But then I was getting there, I was like, it's kind of hard. These songs are not easy songs. Disney ballads, Disney songs in general are not easy songs to sing.
That's right. Yeah.
So, you know, hats off to everybody who do sing them down. I can't wait to see everybody's karaoke renditions.
Yeah.
Just being guided by the great Lin-Manuel Miranda and his team was the gift that kept on giving. I certainly wouldn't have been able to do even a quarter of what I was able to do without him. So I put all the praise and the credit that way.
We're here too. Yeah, why are you leaving us outside this story?
How did it feel returning back to the booth and working with Barry Jenkins on this incredible project?
It was a huge honor, very exciting. I was shocked to get the call the first time that they wanted me to do Timon in 2019, and surprised again that they wanted me back. I mean, it was very flattering.
I kept trying to get him replaced. So
yeah, Seth was like, can you check John Mulaney's avail one more time? But unfortunately, John's very busy, very busy sought after. Yeah. So here I am again. Sorry. Barry Jenkins, so talented. He's such a great filmmaker. He brought a lot of complexity to the story, I think.
I've known Barry a really long time. Him and my wife actually went to film school together.
Wow.
So I've known him for almost 20 years. And so I never necessarily thought I would work with him. And if I did, I for sure didn't think it'd be in something like this.
You weren't in Moonlight?
Exactly.
I could have sworn.
Tried. I was hanging out, just, screaming from off camera. Put me in. But it was so much fun. And it was fun getting re-teaming with Billy. And we get to record all our stuff together. So it's a very fun improvisational performance. And it's one of the most fun things to do, you know, is like, if you're with someone you really think is funny, then just riffing, especially in a recording booth where there's like no logistics other than your voice. It's really fun. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story.
A story! So glad I brought some crickets.
How do you become a lion in the booth?
Well, there's a 12-step program.
Walk me through it.
First is they put us through a roar workshop. Yeah. Do you remember?
Of course.
Do you remember the roar workshop?
Absolutely, yes.
Roaring from your diaphragm.
Yeah.
Because a real lion.
See, you're gonna hurt your voice again.
Yeah.
Be careful.
But that was step one.
That's step
Got
one.
it.
We can get into
Out
that
of
as
12.
well. I'll break it down and post it for you.
Interview part 2. Absolutely.
Yes, we're playing lions, but I think obviously it's a human story. You know what I mean? It's about the human experience. And so it's just about being present with each other, listening to whatever Barry tells us to do in the moment, because he comes up with ad-libs every second and you're like, okay, let me keep up with this. And just using, to me, it was the first time in a long time that I used my childlike imagination. Doing this work, you really have to be like a child again and imagine every little thing. We're all like in the booth, like looking like, and it's really, really fun if you allow yourself to go there.
They let a bunch of fans in the booth.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
they let us loose.
Literally, I was like, all of us are just fans of the
Right.
Lion King, and we were just in there being fanning out.
Right.
But Tiffany, that was so beautiful. We did have to do that. We had to be like, okay, we're grown folks.
Yeah.
We're Bills. But like, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be just excited again and engaged? That's so true. That's so true, yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective, what do you think is the core DNA visually and sonically in the Lion King Mufasa world that you think was really important to keep in this story?
Yeah, you know, visually, it's interesting using these tools to reflect. I'll use 2 versions of The Lion King, you know, both the 1994, because the original is what we're all living in the legacy of.
Yeah.
The way they painted those, the way they drew, the way the characters moved, the light, all those different things. Then you go to Broadway and you see what Julie Taymor did, and people come in on stilts and they have the masks. It's just like, it shouldn't work, but it does. And I think it works because of just this very intense purpose, you know, an earnestness and an honesty with all these emotions. And so when it came to the visuals, I tried to just lean into this idea of intimacy between the characters. a connection to the landscape, and also a camera that was responding to the movement, the mood, the atmosphere of the characters. Because that's what I feel like it did in 1994 with a very different tool set.
My answer is much more specific. It's Lebo M and Mark Mancina, who both worked on that original film, worked on the Broadway musical, and I just knew if I had them in my corner, working on arrangements, we'd get to an incredible place. And so, even when I was writing the songs, I was making space for Lebo's incredible choral harmonies. So if you listen to Malele, that melody's broken up. Beyond the space, horizon space, because I'm leaving room for all of his incredible harmonies to take it to the next level.
I loved the music so much and it felt spiritual. We were just in there like, all right, this is like church. That was the vibe.
I'm really glad you said you felt like you were in church, because I listened to a lot of spirituals before even starting to write Malele, because that's the feeling I wanted you to have. And just listen to chord progressions and listen to what is it about this chord and this change that makes you feel like you're at church.
Just looking back at Mufasa's holistic story, when he was meeting Scar, when he was meeting Sarabi, what really surprised you the most about their backstory?
That Mufasa was an orphan. Just learning that they weren't actually blood related. When I first read it, I was like, wait a second. Oh, that was the most shocking thing to me at the beginning. And then to see how they became brothers is a beautiful thing.
How he got the name Scar, I was like, interesting. I didn't expect it. I didn't know he would have a different name. And then also, it was interesting the interaction on how the name took on its full form in his life. So that was cool. But I wasn't surprised by Mufasa.
I think for me, when we meet Mufasa in the 1994 original, he's the king and he has everything together. And just learning that his starting point was a long way from there. He was an orphan, he was ostracized, he was neglected, he was dismissed. And he rose from that. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. If I was a young person watching this, I would certainly draw inspiration from that, I hope.
From Taka, right?
Yeah.
You draw inspiration from Taka.
And I draw inspiration from Taka.
We all do. We all do. I was watching and I was like, he's the one. Right. You know what I mean?
This is it.
This is it.
Taka is the future king. We must protect the bloodline.
You two were so funny. How did you both take liberties to elevate the humor?
No, I would say we were really encouraged to just try a ton of stuff. I just remember Barry being like, do more. You can keep going with that. Try that, do this. And it was very loose. And again, I think because we're there together, it has a very naturalistic quality to it. And you can really feel that we're playing off of each other and just trying to make each other laugh, honestly. And so I think that comes through and makes it funnier, hopefully.
Can you recall a line or a riff that you two did that maybe it wasn't on the page, but you guys improv'd it?
That whole song,
everything
literally everything we said in the movie, I would say I think is improvised. But that whole Hakuna Mufasa was a joke.
I know, and I couldn't even think where that came from.
No, we started joking about how we wanted a song in the movie.
That's right.
So we started to make one up, and then they spent what I assume is tens of millions of dollars animating it.
So fun. It's like a random thing we said to make each other laugh, and now people in China have to watch it.
Exactly. That's the barometer for any joke.
Exactly.
1, 2, 3. How can we help? Yes, I love it when we say things at the same time.
I'd rather do it on my own.
What do you want this movie to be known for to future generations?
I think that what we knew about Mufasa and Scar was one's a good guy, one's a bad guy. And what I love about this is it complicates that narrative entirely. You see them as devoted brothers who love each other. And I think that's such an important conversation to have with your kids, that there's no such thing as good guys and bad guys. There's people doing their best, and we make good choices and bad choices. And we have good impulses and bad impulses. And sometimes our experiences lead us to make bad choices. But to have that level of nuance of conversation of what good and bad is, I think is so important for the world right now.